Okay, we're coming down to the final episodes here for 2018, and we continue out at Bob Ward's ranch. In this episode, it's a finalization of our searches out there, looking at the mining areas, what the guys were doing out there, DeCook, Hensley, Columborn, Ward, the various different mining operations. It was a great day. Again, people with us, with myself, Frank Augustine, and Woody Wampler. We had Trevor Tuttle with us. We had Brent Ruffner with us. We had Terry Carter out with us, and the director of historical of acquisitions and research from the Historical Society, Greg Davis, was with us. So we had a nice group of individuals, Ian, Woody, and everybody, and we were able to kind of hit the area. We weren't able to get all footage, and we will, for the next episode, maybe have some of where the other guys were and some of what we did, kind of getting back into some of the areas. But for right now, we just basically had one cameraman trying to follow basically 4 or 5 groups of people running around everywhere. But enjoy, because it is part of that series. Additionally, there was footage and some things we did involving the Burns Ranch and some other histories and legends. I'll try to encompass that in episode 12. There really isn't any usable footage or anything from that, but we'll explain what we were shooting for, what we were looking for. There's no reason to use footage or anything that where just nothing happens, and it's just, does anybody just want to look off into the dark, or just look at nothing happening? But we'll kind of go further in detail of that, of how we wrapped up the investigation into that area. But it was an interesting area, kind of looking at the gold, finding these mines, and the earlier mining expeditions, and then the later ones of, say, DeCook and Hensley and Columborn. So enjoy this episode 11, and we'll see where it takes us going after the end of the season. So be over to your right a little more, Frank.
Those over there.
It goes about to those posts.
I see some rocks over there. And some stair steps.
Frank, kind of lines up with the posts.
No time markers?
It's integrity, yeah, the integrity.
So you're with one of the newspapers?
So, yeah, I'm just a freelancer for this story's going to be in Arizona Highway.
Oh, Arizona Highway. Like I say, I'm a jinx for the newspaper guys. I went out with one here 2 months ago, and we went out with the guys showing us the hideout of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. No, this is in Utah. That was it.
Wish I would have known.
One of the problems is Ward would sit on his porch.
Oh.
He had a 45 long Colt, and he would shoot at stuff over this way.
$20,000.
Yeah.
Like last time Wayne and I come out here, I found one of his fired bullets.
Wrong profession.
Well,
was down.
journalism, it's just changed from magazines and newspapers to online. So you just got to switch to online. It's still
Oh,
a
they're over
viable
there.
thing, you know.
Well, I mean,
But you never know
if
what
you
you'll
don't mind
find out there.
asking, you do this for money. How do you make money?
I'm an electrician. This is just a hobby.
Okay, all right.
You know, I don't make.
Yeah.
I mean, I get a little bit, but it ain't. I don't get
Right.
near the time I put into it. I don't get near the money.
Right.
You know, I think in the future, you know, as you get more subscribers and more people watching, I think it could turn into a lot more money. But right now, you
For fun.
slowly. Frank.
It's great having individuals like, having Frank and Woody out there together with us, which is probably more difficult for Trevor because he's got to keep track of where we're all at. And the three of us completely were in three separate areas the entire time. But additionally, you have Greg Davis out with us too. And Greg's almost like having that next fourth team member out there with us because Greg's off on his own and you hear him calling off Frank. So kind of ironic. Frank's being called by me one direction. He goes off that way. Then he hears Woody saying his name and he's off that direction. And then you see him take it off because you hear Greg off in the distance calling off. As much as I can feel sorry for Frank, I have to feel sorry for Trevor, who's trying to follow and keep track of all this. And he's got bleeding audio coming in because there's obviously three conversations going on all at once. Because, of course, we've upgraded the audio to where now we're picking up everything you're hearing. It's great to hear us out there, but when it's just me and Frank and Trevor, you're hearing kind of the quiet and we're giving ourselves space between us to speak. In a larger group like this, of course, the big problem becomes you're hearing everybody's conversation in the background, in the foreground, and what's going on. So, but it was great getting out there and definitely some of the stuff that Greg and Frank found and some of the, some of what they were speculating and the opinions of what they were looking at were very, very interesting. Getting some good samples out of the area.
I said,
Hensley was one of the guys that was on the claim with Tom, right?
I forget who the other
Hensley,
two
I think,
were.
was one of the guys on this claim. So it's Tom, and his name's right there, Hensley.
So this was an old cabin that sat here.
Well, you have a steps to something.
And then you either had a well or something there.
Yeah. It looks like a cistern. There's an old car hood. They don't make them like that anymore. Yeah. Let's go see what he found. There's no piece of mining equipment. It's like a wheel.
Just a prospect. Or you can go over there.
You know what this looks like, Greg? Like this, it looks like a dry washer pile. You know where they take the big rocks and throw them off,
Okay.
and all the fine stuff's down in here. And what happens is, this big stuff that they're throwing off, if there's bigger pieces of gold, they throw that with it because it doesn't go into the dry washer. So frequently, you find an area like this, you go over this with your metal detector and you may pick something up. You see where they had one set up over here, they had one here. You notice down in here, it's all fine stuff.
And over on that ridge right there, that's where the skeletons are buried. Makes for a perfect big grave.
There's a cabin site up there.
Yeah, that was Hensley's and Cook's site. And then you've seen the mine up there, haven't you? You've been,
Yeah, we went up where Tom filmed it.
been through that, photographed it.
Brian and I were doing those videos. We went up to the old ruined site. They say it's maybe a mission.
You mean the Indian roads?
Yeah.
That's what that was. Because I came out here in the early days, you could still see pottery all over it. Indian pottery. Anyway, that's one I didn't know.
You got a good eye, Greg.
Let's see what else is. Thank you, by the way, for that comment.
In different places in a hole. They were running a dry washer back in the day. And all the fine stuff forced off. So you bring a metal detector up here, you go over this, you may find some gold that fell off with the rocks that wouldn't fit down into the metal detector screen.
Yeah, you guys got a nice playground here.
Here, over there, over here. Everything's real fine down in here. So they wouldn't be digging a hole.
He's going. I think he found something again.
Got an opportunity, take it while you got a chance. You can walk over this way. Looks like that shaft is closed up. Good. Now just walk away from them.
This is the mine
If it's a
entrance.
Mojave, run. They'll chase you.
See all the tailings over here? But sometimes if you look over these tailing piles, you may find a piece of ore that they were recovering they threw out.
What's this shiny stuff up here?
Bring us with you,
This is,
and Dave.
these are the tailings from up there. No, there's no shaft in there. They got it fenced off, but basically it's a, they trenched it.
Yeah.
And that's all they did. They did a cut trench there, they did a cut trench on top, is
Yeah.
what that is.
It was Tom's mine. Has steps going down in it.
Yeah. But what is this? That ain't copper, is it?
Bring it with you. And Dave has, it looks like mica. Dave has an analyzer he's bringing. It'll tell you if there's anything in there.
Okay, because this is basically what all this is.
Yeah.
What this is quartz, like you said. The white stuff.
It's like quartz to me. That's the same stuff that you get geodes.
Geode.
You know what geode has all the different crystals in it, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's sparkly.
This is
Magnifying glass. I'm familiar with that one.
See how dark that is? I'm gonna take this piece back. Have it checked. Here's a little bit of rust. It's almost like it almost looks like an iron ore. Where you find iron, out here you find gold. So you never know.
There's a shaft over there. Found a couple pieces of colored glass down there. Another hole where they were digging. You want to film it? Over there, I'll show you.
Sure.
I can show you why they were digging in it.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Just like all the other holes. You see how most of the stuff's all red around here?
Yeah.
It's almost like sandstone. You don't see a whole lot of mineralization, nothing in it. You see this layer here? Same way out there. See this layer in here? That's ancient riverbed. And that's what they're digging out. They're digging out that ancient riverbed like concrete. That's why it's so narrow. Is just getting from yay far down to yay far and digging it out. That's where the heavies are. You can tell by the color of the rock. Usually heavy rocks are darker. You're more black. The darker the rock usually is, the heavier it is. Just like your black sand.
What's that by your foot? Is that
You can see how it goes. And that's what they were busting out. So
what's that
somebody
can?
worked awful hard.
What's that can by your foot?
Some old cans. Aerosol cans. They probably brought them out here to shoot them to try to get them to blow up.
Because there was spray paint
Huh?
back out. There was spray paint back out there too. So if that's what that is. Yeah, there's another can here. This one was.
I'm not sure what kind of cans these are. But you know, I wouldn't put it past the prospectors to bury something like that in there, you know. Hide all this gold where nobody would look, think to get it.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody just shot this to bits, man. Well, I'll haul it out. Every time I go out, I gotta haul out some trash. But I want you to see this. I want you to see why they were digging out here.
Yeah.
You can definitely tell the difference in the material, can't you? Between all that up here and look down there. That's where the gold was. It was a lot more mineralized. A lot more heavy stuff.
No, there's a bottle in here too. But it doesn't look like it's. Yeah.
You can just see it's a lot heavier, even down there low. It's a lot heavier mineralized. All of this is heavier mineralized stuff. Nothing like that up there. That's why they say there's no gold out here. They're looking at this stuff, and it's like sand. It's like silica sand almost. And yeah, you're not going to find much in that. But there's still a lot more of other stuff out here. We just let them keep thinking that. Let them keep thinking that. Take this out of here. Do you see what I'm talking about though, guy?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing over there where they were digging.
And then I found.
Oh yeah, there's a ton of that stuff out here, man.
Yeah.
I found an old can full of gold. Hey, gotta haul haul some out with you. Found some more glass, some blue stuff too.
Show the cans
Ooh, yeah,
too.
oh yes. I collect them.
I know. Oh yeah, I see a lot of that
Mhm.
going in there.
Show the cans to Frank, because we found an area that was spray painted over there. So it could be
Could be what that is.
same. Yeah.
Who knows how long it's been sitting there, huh?
They,
The sad part is people shooting it all up, you know? They tear up everything. It's a crying shame. Footing?
That's where the cabin stood.
he found another spot where they were
That must be the
digging
well behind it then, huh?
over there, and they found like some spray paint cans. 2 of them.
Same color.
I don't know, they're rusted.
Frank, even though this is all desert out here, way back then there was a lot more water out here than there was in a lot of other places.
There's a well up there.
Yeah, I saw that. It makes sense because the cabin being here.
They put it.
Right there. Alright, there's no other left.
Oh, there's 2 of these.
That was a target. Now it said that Ward hid a carved stone down in his well. And right over here,
The person that was here in this cabin. Of course, that was a tailing pile over there. And a shaft.
you got an old well here. This is for the cabin. That was the original well. And there was a story that Ward had a stone map that was carved and he hid it down in his well. So if somebody wants to come up and dig all this away, maybe you'll find it. Today's not that day.
We could just uncover it and send Sal down.
Yeah, look and see
I'd
if
cover it
there's...
back up again
Where is Sal?
so people
he's
don't
over
see
there.
it. Because somebody's going to try to tear it all up.
Good, then I won't have to do it.
Well, you want to crawl in there? You want to crawl down in there?
No.
I told you I knew where there's no prospect, a miner's stash inside of an outhouse that's buried up there in the Yada Pass. You want to
Is
go
this
dig
in your
that?
backyard? Is this
No.
where you lost your gold?
No, that's not where I lost my gold. But there
Did
is
you ever
an-
find your gold that you lost?
there is an outhouse up there that's got a pouch in it. Linda told me. She says back there. Not, you know, she was never
She
wrong.
just wants to see you dig
Yeah,
shit
right.
hole. That's what.
I'm not, if I knew where it was at, I might try it. You know, that'd be to me it'd be an ultimate find. Is
But you always forget
to
what things
find a
are.
stash that somebody actually hid, you know, and then never got back to it. That to me,
I got some friends that did. It wasn't. They found a little mason jar, old mason jar, and it had some silver dollars, pennies,
Yeah.
dimes, nickels, and it had a 1935 silver certificate dollar. So you know, it wasn't older than 1935, but it had a key in it, a skeleton key, and it had a paper that said, Ralph, to the tree from the pole 10 paces 2 feet down. And so they figured there was a big strong box or something with this.
it's very possible.
So they started all over, man. They couldn't, they started digging by rocks, by trees, man. They found a big mason jar clear full of Indian head pennies. They found another one full of buffalo.
People
nickels.
buried everything.
And you look at it and you think, man, it was just nickels. They just mostly pennies and nickels and stuff. But back in the 30s, 40s, that was a lot of money.
If you had any valuables, you hid it. You buried it, no matter what it was.
So they found, I think, four or five mason jars full of nickels and pennies mostly. You know, the one jar had silver dollars.
Somebody buried it, you know. You heard of people burying it in the backyard.
Coming back, and the one bottle was left for a message to somebody else. But I always thought that there must be a skeleton key. That key went to safe or a strong box or something, but they never ever did find anything else. Just them mason jars full.
Yeah, there was supposed to be 8 jars of gold coins buried where this old prospector was up there by Riata Pass, and that'd be really, it's private property. So you know, if you go on it, what are you going to get? Nothing. The owner's going to get it.
Yep.
So you just leave the story as it is.
Yep.
So.
We can do everything other than.
Okay, cool. Maybe we'll do it on the way out tomorrow. This is that thing where we're doing the secret little talk in front of people. I know what you're talking about. Watch this. It's 3D.
Look at the top of your hat. Anybody that's thirsty,
What?
I've got
Look at
some
the
water
top
in
of
the
your
truck.
hat. I was
Yeah, I mean, you know, from a distance until I pick it up and look at it. What I was showing him was what these guys was actually digging in these ancient riverbed was where the heavies are. You can see the heavy mineralization where the gold's at. Cat's call. That's why they was on it so deep. Because you can see how heavy this is. See how black this is?
Yeah.
That's the ancient riverbed that's got the heavies in it. And that's where the gold's at. The gold's going to be in this kind of material here. None of this stuff up here.
Okay.
It's going to be in this type of stuff in here. Is where the gold's going to be.
So they were plastering it out?
Huh?
They were plastering it out?
Yeah.
So, okay.
It's placer gold that they were digging all this out of. But it's in the heavies in ancient riverbed.
It's similar to your lower claim.
Huh?
Similar to your lower claim. It was softer ground,
Right.
but
Same
they were
type of
just
thing as
digging it
that.
out. Okay.
And the massive gold in it, remember?
Mm-hmm.
So it was really great getting out there with Frank and Woody, and the time we spent together off camera. There was a lot of time we were able to sit around and talk. Obviously, certain private conversations about what we are currently doing and what else we will be doing in the future. We had to kind of do a side. We have to be very careful because we want to make sure that there's no encroachment onto the area, what we're filming and what we're presently doing. So there's always a kind of a shell game in what we're doing. This was an important area, something we wanted to look into the history, and we had been. There's a couple other things we want to check out in that general area, but we feel pretty secure in those locations are pretty much wrapped up and no one's aware of them. It was great being out there with Greg Davis and Sal Degadillo, Brent Ruffner, Terry Carter, Woody, and just everybody else involved. I know Frank and I had a great time doing that. It was a 4 or 5 hours well spent on that day. And you know, getting the time in over 2 or 3 days to film and kind of look at a specific target area was great. Unfortunately, losing the footage prior to that and the scouting and all that, which would have added and enhanced this, which we're hoping to find still, would additionally added to it. But I hope everybody enjoys this, because this is an experience what it is like when you have a larger team, a group of people. But of course, we're limited to basically one cameraman at that juncture, and it becomes very, very difficult. Working from the operational side of just me and Frank and Trevor at times, or me, Frank, Trevor, and just Tyler, so much easier because there's space we're able to work with. So, you know, hope everybody enjoys what we're doing. I hope everyone looks forward to also seeing episode 12, and we'll kind of get things and wrap things up. And like I said, hopefully through the year we'll have some kind of stuff keep you guys kind of on board and seeing what we're kind of going to do. But thank you for spending the time and looking through this. And I definitely would say the last 3-4 episodes of this season work together very well. You can almost probably sync them together and watch them as one whole of what it's like sometimes in a day or two, a 48-hour period of out there with us kind of investigating an area.